we don't wanna go war. Only make hapla, we don't wanna go war.
I'm going to guess you're an adventure bike rider. And if not, you probably want to be. Why else did you click on this video? I don't blame you. I have the bug as well, and I'm looking for any opportunity to pack my bags and go into the mountains. But it's spring. The season is just opening up, and much of the world-class riding in Colorado is still under snow and ice. Even worse, if you get caught between some steep, icy sections on a trail by yourself, you might be in for a really bad time, and they're everywhere in the mountains along north-facing mountainsides. Planning and preparation are as important as ever to make sure that you get through your route and home for bed. I don't claim to be an adventure riding expert, and I'm certainly no expert on the regions and seasonality of the Rocky Mountains, but I've learned enough to put a ride together that gave me pretty much everything I was itching for. When I was researching this route, I made a few qualifications. 1. I must be able to ride comfortably from Denver and home in one day. No 12 or 14-hour days, my ride was about 7 hours. Number 2, it must include incredible roads along the way. No interstate, especially I-25. I want enjoyable roads and enjoyable dirt. Otherwise, why not just take a truck and a dirt bike and unload when I get there? Number 3, ideally I'd like as much time off-road as on-road. No more than 50% of my riding time should be on-road. Number 4, I'd like a mix of features. Maybe 2-track, single-track, side-by-side trails, ATV trails. Maybe some muddy terrain, rocky terrain, some sand pits, fast stuff, slow stuff. I'm looking for a variety, not just dirt roads. Number 5, I want this place to be accessible to beginners and riding solo. 1, it worked really well for this video. 2, I'm going out by myself, and I don't want to go in the middle of nowhere where something could happen and I wouldn't see anybody for an entire week. There's a way to prepare for adventures like that, and that wasn't in my preparation for this ride. The first thing I looked at was a map of the Colorado Backcountry Discovery Route. If you aren't familiar with the BDR organization, they map and publish incredible routes for adventure rides in the United States. They're an incredible resource for finding great routes in your area, and I highly recommend you check out their website. The Colorado BDR starts in the southwest corner of the state and moves northeast through sections 1, 2, and 3 until reaching Buena Vista, Colorado. Buena Vista is about as close as the BDR comes to the Western Front Range and is located only 2 hours from Denver. Upon a closer look, I found that Section 4 doesn't start to climb elevation until at least 50 miles in or so when it reaches Weston Pass. Weston Pass doesn't typically open up until mid to late June, and it would certainly be covered in snow and ice in the beginning of May. So this was my spot. I'll ride out Highway 285 south, which, as you've been watching from the footage, is incredible roads to ride. And this will take me all the way down to Buena Vista, where I can hit these trails for a few hours, and then I can ride back the way I came. Let's get on the road, see how it went. Fourmile has a lot of access points, and I've put a link to the map and the webpage for this area in the description of this video just below so that you can make your own plans. I decided to start at the main entrance on the northeast side of Buena Vista off of North Colorado Avenue. Once I found the signs that let me know I was in the right place, I grabbed an extra map, passed a few toy haulers that were crawling their way to dispersed campsites, and I started to explore. Soon I reached an intersection of another trail that I used to determine that I definitely was not where I wanted to be. That leads me to talk about navigation. Navigating these trail systems can be really tough. The ideal setup is to have a handlebar mounted GPS. Your phone can also work with the coordinates and track loaded so that you can simply look down at an intersection and be confident that you're making the right turn. I was riding one of our rental Tenere 700s and I didn't have a handlebar mount for my phone, so I'd have to stop and pull out my phone or a map to figure out where I was going. In preparation for this ride, I printed out a map of the entire riding area and packed it with me. It turned out to actually be unnecessary because there were giant, beautifully printed maps at the entrance, but if they had not been there, I was prepared. I also marked my route on the map that I had printed, and I'm not good at remembering trail numbers, so this was pretty helpful. As an extra redundancy, I also downloaded the GPX files for the Colorado BDR and I uploaded them to my Gaia GPS app on my phone. I never ended up using them, but if I wasn't able to determine my position on the physical map, I just used trail intersections. But if I wasn't able to do that, my phone would have been a really easy way to figure out where I was. So I've made it to the end. I'm at where 311 meets 285, and I figured I really don't want to go back because this was a lot of fun. But even more than that, I figured I'd take a second to give you some tips, some things that I learned, maybe some facts about this place, just talk about my day's ride and experience a little bit, and hopefully help you guys get out here. We want to make this as accessible as possible, and I want you to do this ride. It was a lot of fun. It was really, really cool. I wish I had had more time to explore more trails. Doing this within the confines of a single day ride out of Denver is entirely possible. It's totally doable. I mean, I just did it and I'm working within the confines of an 8-hour workday. But if I was doing this for fun, I'd get up early and I'd get out to Buena Vista by, I don't know, 9 a.m., 10 a.m., probably try and find a restaurant to have a nice breakfast in, and then hit the trail by 11 ideally. I think that would give me a lot more time to explore. Getting out here, trying to find 311, I missed some roads and I didn't mind it. I wanted to go down every trail that I saw, but I didn't have time to. It got to a point to where I was like, whoop, wow, nope, I gotta get out of here because I gotta get this bike back before the shop closes. So I think my first big tip would be get up early, get your butt out here, and I think you'll set yourself up for a much more fun day. Also, if you can get out of here, it's 3 o'clock now, but if you can ride 2 more hours than I was able to ride and get out of here still at 3 o'clock, get back to Denver about dinner time, and you'll miss a lot of this rain that's starting to materialize in the area. So I think that's the way that I would go about it best. But that kind of leads me into my next point, which is the temperature. So I'm not a super experienced adventure rider. I don't have all of the adventure rider gear. I'm in jeans today with my adventure boots and adventure jacket. But riding out of Denver, it was cold this morning. And if I had left 2 hours earlier, it would have been a lot colder. So that's a big consideration. I think if you're gonna try and do this in one day and you come out here dressed for the drive out of Denver, you're gonna be very hot out here. You drop your bike, you pull over, you start kind of hustling down corners and doing turns and stuff, and before I knew it, I was hot, I was sweating. I came to a stop one point to eat some snacks, and I had to take my jacket all the way off. I mean, I had to, every time I stopped, I wanted to shed layers. But since I'm not camping out here, I'm not just riding out here from the truck, I gotta keep everything with me. So I'd do it a couple ways. Either one, I'd buy some super sick gear. I imagine that if I had a $1,500 climb suit, I'd probably have enough vents and layers and adjustments to be able to do both things. My second idea, and probably the way I'll go about this stuff, is I'd find a stash, honestly. I'd probably wear another layer. I took out the insulated layer from my touring jacket. I'd probably wear that. I'd probably ride in warmer gloves out here, bringing dirt gloves along with me. And I'd probably ride in warm pants and pack some dirt pants, some dirt biking pants that have a lot more airflow. So that once I hit the trail, I can change into those, shed the layer, and then either just stash those somewhere so that when I come back out, I can just pick them up. Or if I had panniers, I could put them there. I don't have panniers on this one. We do have a Tenere for rent that does have 2 panniers, but I didn't really want to deal with that today. I put my own tail bag on there for snacks and water and everything like that, since I had to have all my camera gear on my back. But yeah, it was kind of tough because it does, even here in May, today is May 3rd, and it's hot. It was warm. I don't know exactly what the temperature, it feels like it's all 75 degrees out here. So yeah, a little bit warm and kind of hard to do both things, that ride and this ride out here, comfortably. I don't know, let me know down below if you think that your adventure gear is up for the task, because this jacket got way too warm. Jeans are fine. I love blue jeans, so they're always fine, but they're not riding gear, so whatever. Anyways, all right, I've digressed. Let's move on to another point. So my last is kind of a conclusion. This place is great for beginners. I still consider myself a beginner off-road rider, especially adventure bike rider. Adventure bikes are tough, man. They're so tough to ride compared to dirt bikes. And I was having fun out there on stuff, or coming up to corners a little hot, where I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And then the thought crossed my mind, man, if I was on a dirt bike, I'd be railing through here. So I think that for the beginner adventure rider, this is a perfect scenario. This is exactly what you want. There were a lot of times where I realized I would probably have been going slower if it was like my first time out on an adventure ride, or if I was new on a bike. I'm decently comfortable on these Teneres. I'm just a little bit short to handle it. Yeah, this is fantastic. There's a great mix of stuff. There's some short, steep little inclines. They're not really loose, at least not yet. They might be later this year. I found some sandy areas, which are so good for beginners to get to play in, where your front starts to wash and wobble and you got to kind of guide it, but also staying on the gas. The sand is so good, and there's really closer to Buena Vista, there's a decent sand pit where it was all pretty packed while I was there, but there was definitely some times where I was having to do the sand dance and work it a little bit. I never had to put my legs down and just kind of kick through, but that doesn't even do me much good on a Tenere, because if I lose it enough that my foot's going to fully touch the ground to where I can support the weight of the bike, it's already over far enough that I'm going to drop it. But no, I thought it was great. There was some whoop sections, and even if you're riding with somebody who is a lot more experienced, they're still going to have fun. You can hit jumps. I bottomed out this bike on a big jump, and it just made me giggle because I was in 4th gear, you know, really moving and having a blast. But I had so many times where I was like, is this difficult? No, not at all. If I had less experience, I'd probably just be going a whole lot slower. And these aren't really long trails to begin with. You don't have a 100-mile dirt road that you have to get through to get out. So it's not like your pace matters all that much. You could do 10 miles an hour down this whole road and you'd be totally fine, and you'd get to experience a lot of cool things. So great for beginners. Yeah. In addition to that, it's super accessible. So 2 hours from Denver is the drive from my house-ish to Buena Vista. Might be a little bit more if you're on the far reaches of Denver, but there's cell phone service out here in most places, which is awesome. There's people, quite a few people. Even today, it's a Wednesday, and there were a lot of people in a lot of the camping spots with side-by-sides. I passed probably 5 or 6 side-by-sides, and it's fun, it's out here, and it's beautiful, but it doesn't feel so remote where, like, if something goes wrong, I would be concerned. I'm carrying a toolkit, I've got a first aid kit, and I pretty much will always carry those, but like, if I was
this is probably a fine detour off of a street ride, honestly. It's really not that big of a deal. I could have gotten my SV650 through this trail. Wouldn't have been as comfortable, but yeah, I totally could have gotten it through there. So it's not that necessary. One, I don't think things are really gonna go wrong, but it's a motorcycle and they absolutely can. And if they do, there's people around. I mean, you could walk to Buena Vista, you could walk to 285, and then the flip side of that, this place is so well connected. I pointed out a spot where the BDR route takes off and continues into the mountains and not here to 285 where I'm going home. But like, you could camp out here and connect this to so many different places. There's a phenomenal southern part of the 4 Points trail system that I look forward to exploring more. There's a ton of trails here I wasn't able to hit. If you are wanting to get into some gnarlier stuff and take your Tenere 7 down some single track, those trails are out here too. It's really cool. It's super camping friendly. Like, the spaces are huge. There's people pulling trailers all the way back here so they can just ride their side-by-sides for days. I really liked it. I think it's a really cool spot, and the accessibility of it made it great. I wasn't quite expecting this. I felt like I had to search and look to find somewhere that's like, where do I go adventure riding in early May? I'm just itching to get out here on a bike like this and ride some dirt roads. I don't want to really do anything crazy gnarly. People keep making me do that stuff on dirt bikes, and it's fine, I'm doing it, and it's making me a whole lot better. But riding stuff like I was today, where you're hitting jumps and it's flowy and it's banked and it's loose so you can slide, I really liked it. I have to recommend it. So come on out here. 4 Points, that's what it's called. It's in Buena Vista. It's about a 2-hour drive from Denver. I'm doing it all in one day, and honestly, I slacked. I don't think I left until 10 or so, and I got out here. I finally got on the trail about 1, came through here, rode for about 2 hours. Now I'm about to get back on the road and hump it back home. So totally an awesome adventure ride. I think as I expand my knowledge of routes and roads and paths and things like that, I'd like to have my full day ride on an adventure bike be more dirt than it is pavement. But it's May. Not a lot of the high mountains have opened up yet. You know, you can't really ride at than 11,000 feet. And this area is freaking awesome. So yeah, you've heard my explanation. Let me know where you're riding. Where do you go in May? Because where do you go before May? Where do you go in April? I really want to know, because you know, I've been in the garage doing maintenance and doing some short street rides because I'm afraid to go into the high mountain roads and get caught on some ice or something like that. And I don't know, I kind of had it in my head that this was not all ready yet to be ridden, and that's not the case. But I found this place and I plan on finding more, and drop your favorites down below. I'd love to check them out and maybe make a little guide for people. But I'm Josh, and this is G-ForcePowersports. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you want to rent this Tenere 7 or one of our other Tenere 700s, or a WR450 or YZ250, whatever you want to rent, FrontRangeAdventureRentals.com, that is a entity of G-Force, so we'd love to take care of you. You can take this bike out. It chewed this place up. So check all the links below, like, subscribe. You know how YouTube works. I appreciate all the engagement that you give us, because you know, we're starting this thing out and it helps us a lot. So with that, I'll catch you on the next one.